talk about this credit restoration piece. You guys know that we're working on building some software right now to assist us with our clients who are in, there are plus clients, right? About between 75 and 80% of our clients are plus clients who, whether they're on a light plan or a max plan, they're taking advantage of some of the credit restoration solutions that our partners can provide. And, that piece is such a vital part of the process for many clients that we're really excited right now about the software build. They're making really good progress. It's not something we need to talk about here. The people that are more involved in that, they kind of know where it's at, but we're making really good progress. I think we're getting more excited as every week goes by with what we can do with that side of the business, or that piece that we're working on. It's pretty exciting. So our ability over time to be able to not only become one of the best at just fixing errors on credit reports, but the technology integration, the visibility that we're going to be able to create that has been non-existent up until now. There's a lot of excitement internally at LenCred right now about what we can do over the next 6 and 12 and 18 months. Because when you look at that as being kind of a never-ending process, I'm not at my home office today, so I can't pull one of my books. But Kevin Kelly wrote a book about the 10 technological trends that are going to kind of disrupt and shape our future. And one of those things that he talks about is this concept of becoming. If you look up Kevin Kelly and his book, it's a great book. I really recommend it. Just not only as a business owner, but honestly as kind of a consumer in the world that we live in today. That book probably has a lot of value to anybody who wants to understand technology and maybe get a little bit of a glimpse into kind of what the next few years look at. Not crystal ball stuff, but it's called The Inevitable, written by Kevin Kelly. And he talks about the 12 technological forces that are going to kind of shape our future. And one of those kind of chapters is about becoming. And the concept of becoming is that in the world that we live in today, this technology age that we live in, nothing is ever done. Whatever you've got, whatever software tool, whatever, it's always becoming something more. It's always becoming the next thing. It's never complete. And so when we look at the 9/11 Credit Solutions, piece that we're working on, the team I think has always been, initially it was kind of way in the beginning, the infancy, it was like, we're going to have to do this, guys, because this is just not working like it should. We're going to have to. And then we're going to have to kind of started to shift and go, if we did, wouldn't it be cool if, and so there was kind of this evolution, right? And then we kind of started to work on it. And then we pulled some people in to kind of help with it. And now as it's starting to get done and the code is being written and we've got, a pretty, extensive, scope document that's been, developed and we're starting to now get excited, right? And we're now kind of going, wow, look at what we're going to be able to do after V1 is ready. I mean, we're already, I think in the very beginning, before we even said, let's do this, we were like, oh my gosh, we got to put this together. And we weren't planning to do this when we started. And now we're thinking about version 5 and version 10 and how it can just get better and better and better in terms of the quality of the people that we can kind of have, helping us, as well as, the kind of technology and how it can, help both for us as internal LenCred employees, for you as external partners, because whatever kind of the next closest thing is to an employee, that's kind of what you guys are. You're actively engaged. You're here every day or frequently. The LenCred model intimately. You're about as close as it can be to an employee who's kind of not employee. So those kinds of finding ways to bring visibility to you as well, and then also ultimately, giving some tools to our clients. And so there's kind of a lot of excitement there related to these pieces of it. And then I want to kind of transition to kind of another piece, and that I think we'll kind of end a little bit early today. And that is, for those of you that aren't aware, for those of you that maybe aren't regulars here, we've continued to kind of grow and expand the team. If you went back 18, 24 months ago, we had less than 20 people, and we were, kind of in our infancy stages. We're now up to, next week will be over 40 people. I felt like I was like, offer letter guy this week, because we put out so many offers this week to people in multiple departments. So our kind of expansion continues. So expansion is happening in fulfillment. Massive expansion is happening in the call center and with the Boss Advantage side of things in terms of bringing on new people. I think we put out 5 offer letters just in that one Boss Advantage department yesterday, and I think 4 of them have already been accepted. I think we're expecting the 5th one today. We're expanding in the accounting department. So there's across multiple departments, there's new people being brought on. And the exciting thing for me and for us is, and this is where, Jimmy and some of the new members of our team have really been unbelievably invaluable, is there's an understanding that growth is not only good, but that we don't just fix problems with bodies. Right. And so using technology and the right people is part of what's given us some really good traction. So being a little bit slower to hire and a little bit better at the vetting process, and having underlying infrastructure of technology that then can do a lot of the work that previously was done manually. And now it allows the right person to say, well, not only can I do those things that are necessary, but I understand technology. So what are you doing in this area, so that in 2023 and 2024, there's an underlying foundation that won't cause havoc or won't cause chaos with the continued expansion and growth. Some of you have probably heard us talk about, Vern Harnish's gazelle's mindset, right? A gazelle, according, those of you that know Vern wrote Rockefeller Habits. He wrote Scaling Up, runs the largest coaching organization probably in the world called the Gazelles Group. Vern's also the founder of EO. Those of you familiar with the Entrepreneurs Organization. If you're someone who enjoys learning, and go to YouTube and look up Vern Harnish and listen to a few of the things he's talked about over the last several years. Vern is the one that, Scaling Up is an unbelievable book. Again, if you're someone that, somebody like Dane, if you haven't already read Scaling Up, Dane, you'd probably love it, right? It's the kind of thing, you could create an entire college course around, the 4 pillars of people, strategy, execution, and cash. And again, I'm not at my home office to show you the book, right? But Vern's methodology is all around those 4 pillars: people, strategy, execution, and cash. And when I tell you Vern could teach 2 entire semesters on each of those individual pillars, he could go into great detail about each one of them. But from a high level perspective, those are the 4 pillars that are necessary. And when you have those 4 pillars in place, and they don't all have to be A+, right? Don't get this wrong. You're never done working on these things. None of us are ever done with it, right? But when you start to think about the fact that 80% of businesses fail, think about how many small business owners you're working with are thinking about people. They're thinking about strategy. They're thinking about execution. They're thinking about cash, and they're thinking about how they all work together. And then how often are they, hiring and allocating resources to develop all 4 of those areas, right? And so a gazelle, by definition, by Vern's definition, is a company that can grow 20% per year, top line growth, top line revenues, can grow 20% per year, year after year, and don't forget the second part, and who have the people, infrastructure, and systems to facilitate that growth efficiently. right? So let's say that again real quick. So a gazelle by definition, is a company who can grow 20% per year, year after year. Um, and they have the people and the infrastructure systems and processes in place to to facilitate that growth efficiently. That's not easy, right? And so in order to kind of piece all those things together, there's a lot of moving parts. So one of those kind of pieces that Kavika kind of, asked a little bit of a question about related to an aspect of that. But one of those pieces that closely impacts our client experience, because um, in this world we live in today, there's not many things more important than the client experience. We live in a world where I've got an audience. Everybody in the world has an audience through social media now, right? This is not the 80s and the 90s, when the car dealer could kind of hide the problems with the vehicle and then, do that for years and years and years and get away with it. Nowadays, we live in a different world where you can't do that anymore. So models that are generous and transparent have a much more enduring quality in the world we live in today. And so when we're mindful of that and we're thinking about those four pillars, then we're learning what Vern teaches, which is that these are the ingredients that you need to have a brand or a company that can kind of grow and that can deliver high quality service to their clients throughout that growth process. And so those are some things that we're working on, guys. We're a work in progress. We're making mistakes, but we're learning from them, and so you'll continue to see the thing, like the fulfillment team. You'll continue to see them grow. You'll continue probably to hear us occasionally talk about the different areas, and so it's our estimation that all of those areas. It's our belief that all those areas have to be tended to, because again, going back to the four pillars, and I'm coming to you here in a minute, Chris, if the people aren't the right people, you're not going to get there. You're just not going to get there. I remember when I was at UCLA taking a class, and
Hello, this is George at Nico. How can I
I'm
help
gonna
you?
I'm gonna put George on mute there. So I remember when I was at UCLA, and one of the things that came up was people. The people factor, and we spent a lot of time in I was in a class with 24 other people that were all entrepreneurs, that had $1 million plus companies that hadn't yet scaled to 25 million. We all had the same common problems. And one of the professors who had written the book Growing Pains, her and her husband helped Howard Schultz in the early days of Starbucks, and they have numerous clients over the years that they've assisted with, putting operational infrastructure in place to facilitate growth. And what she talked about was, everybody thinks that the people that got them from 0 to 1 million can also take them to the next level, and very rarely is that the case. You often need some different people, and that doesn't mean you get rid of everybody. It doesn't mean that at all, but it means that the pool of talent oftentimes doesn't have the mindset and the knowledge on how to then get to that next stage. And Les McCune kind of illustrates that in Predictable Success very beautifully. If any of you are students of those types of models, that going from 0 to 1 million is a very different skill set than going from 1 million to 25, and so on and so forth. And so all those things being said, the people follow, that then have the right strategy, right, the right model, right, and the strategic plan, but then without the execution and the true get it done, mindset, rather than we don't do that and we don't do that. Those things become incredibly vital. So we're working, tirelessly to do all those things. You'll see now, next week we'll be up over 40 people, and we're hiring wisely, and we got some really, really good people. We got great people that are going to be working sometimes directly with you, and sometimes kind of behind the scenes to kind of facilitate all the things that are necessary, so that none of the links in the chain become a bottleneck that become problematic or slow us up. And so